Welcome to Hull and Estates and Succession Planning, a series of podcasts hosted by Ian Hull and Suzana Popvic-Montag. The podcast you are listening to will provide information and insights into estate planning in Canada. From the offices of Hull & Hull in Toronto, here are Ian and Suzana.
Hi, and welcome to Hull and Estate and Succession Planning. You're listening to episode 199. We are creeping towards 200 as close as we can get. And I'm welcoming back Suzana Popvic-Montag. I'm Ian Hull. It's been a while since she's been around to be able to podcast with us. So we remind everyone, of course, please go to our webpage. We've just started a new webpage, and we've got some new resources on it. We'd look forward to any feedback. And we're going to carry out our podcast today. Suzana, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ian, and sorry to have made you do a bunch of these solo, so thanks for waiting it out for me, though I don't know how you find the time with, your Hollywood debut and your most recent appearance on BNN.
That's true. I was on BNN on Money Talk last week.
And it's funny when I'm getting people calling me and telling me about that one of my own partners is a movie star now, and talking about the recreational property. I hear you did a fantastic job. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. It's always great to be on, and Patty is an amazing host on BNN's Money Talk, and we had a great chat about transferring the cottage property.
Yes, that's just great.
So today we're going to come back to and stay within our theme, and that theme is charitable giving, planned giving, and philanthropy generally. And so while you were away, we did some sort of laid a bit of the groundwork on this topic and this theme. But also while you were away, I've been plowing through and I've finished reading a great book that I want to talk about because I think it helps us really focus some of these issues. And it is called The Art of Giving. Again, we'll put this on the webpage, but it's called The Art of Giving, Where the Soul Meets a Business Plan. And it's written by Charles Bronfman and Jeffrey Solomon. Now, Charles Bronfman is a famous Canadian, wealthy Canadian from the Bronfman family, and Jeffrey Solomon is an American consultant. The two of them combined together to write this book called The Art of Giving. And I got introduced to it through the internet blogosphere because I was reading a bunch of different blogs that I follow, and a couple of them kept coming back to it and talking about this book. So it's a great book. It's published by, we'll put all the details on our webpage, but it's published recently. It's a 2010 publication by Josie Bass, a Wiley imprint company. So let's talk about some of the stuff that we've learned from that book.
So I imagine you're not going to tell us which one is the soul and which one's the business plan in terms of the two authors, eh?
Good question. Yeah, I don't know yet. I mean, having read it now, that's a good question. I mean, they both, you could get the feeling sometimes at parts of it that you could see that was, I don't know Mr. Bronfman, but it sounded very Bronfman-esque, and the other things sounded very consultant-esque. But it really is, and the book is set up to help understand giving. And so I thought that was a really, from that standpoint, helpful. And then the secondly is that how do you put a business plan to giving? Mm-hmm. And we talk about our need to get the family involved in the process and so on, but this is adding another layer on it, and that is adding the business element to it. So I thought we'd start first of all with the foreword that was done by Jane Wolfenson. James. James is a former president of the World Bank. So very prestigious man, had an immense career in the banking and business world, and did a really well done foreword in the sense that he brought a third perspective to the art of giving that I thought was really good. But the book itself really breaks down into three sections that help us learn about the art of giving.
And those three sections are, and I'm looking at cheat sheets here, but part one is entitled The Donor, so we're talking about who it is that's actually considering giving the money. Part two being the partners, who's involved in that philanthropic gifting, and thirdly, the gift itself.
Absolutely. And so what the foreword they talk about, James talks about, is that he describes philanthropy as the love of mankind. And it was really, it was fun to see because he talks about it, what the book talks about is that it is being inspired but being sensible. So giving in the context of a business environment and making giving a bit of business-like approach to giving. So he was talking about the fact the importance of that is the duality is so important. But he said that the act of giving is, in fact, a gift to oneself. To many donors, they feel ashamed or are made to feel ashamed. But if they feel personal gratification for the gifts they make, then that is all that matters. And I thought that was really telling, because one of the things the Bronfman family are very well known for is their giving. But and throughout the book we get that sense, is that there is no shyness to the giving, and there should be no shyness to the giving, and that the giving itself, the act of gratification of the giving, coming with it some recognition, isn't such a bad thing.
You know, it's a really telling comment, actually, and when I think about it just from a professional standpoint, when we hear about, these charitable gifts made in wills and things like that, I mean, maybe it's just my own predisposition, but the thinking normally is that, it's just a way to avoid tax or to minimize tax. You don't actually take it that one step further, thinking, wow, that charity meant a lot to that individual, or it had some connection to that individual, apart from just, the benefit to the estate.
And, the book does that, and it breaks down, it starts with the first premise is that every individual is different, and whatever motivates them to give and how they will give is different. And they use the illustration of somebody wants to either just write the check. Some people are check writers. Some people are active participants. They want to hand out the food at the food bank. The other people, and so the participation of it and the art of understanding the donor and their mindset is so very important, because it helps you get inspired, and you start to look at yourself and you say, am I a check writing person, or am I a participating kind of person? And then you can start to focus your philanthropy.
We're getting into the soul part of the book. I can see where this is going already.
It is very soulful. And but I mean, I think it really helps our families when and more engaging with my clients in that regard, because I like to say, okay, well, wait a minute, you want to set up a foundation maybe, or you want to do something you've gathered some wealth, you'd like to figure out how you want to pass that on into a charitable way, or give it during your lifetime. Let's talk about you as a donor. And the first part of the book really teaches us how to assess a donor, how to determine what is inside the individual's heart and minds in terms of what jives them, what makes them want to give. And so the first question that the authors say is, they say, identify the most authentic motivation. What is the motivation that's in the mind of the donor?
And then I guess you want to see where it is that motivation fits into that individual's life and their plan, essentially.
Absolutely. And then you start to decide what they want to do with philanthropy and how they want to. And now the book uses the word philanthropy a lot, and I like the word charity as opposed to philanthropy.
It's a lot easier to say, frankly.
Yeah, and spell. But I also think it throws that tone of sort of New York City big money gifting, and which isn't what the book is about, and which most of our clients aren't about. We're not setting up $50 million trusts for the betterment of trees in British Columbia. We are meeting with clients who are giving gifts that are on a modest scale, and it is more charity as opposed to philanthropy. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the book, because I think it really helps us focus on philanthropy and charity giving in terms of the mechanics of the front end of it, because we've talked a lot about the mechanics of the back end. That is, what is the advisor teaching us and how can we give this? But we want to talk a little bit about where the heart and soul of it is. So thank you very much, and that was podcast 199 for Holland Estates and Succession Planning. Great to have Suzana back.
Thanks very much, Ian. Great to be back.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Holland Estates and Succession Planning by Ian Hall and Suzana Popvic-Montag. The podcast that you've been listening to has been provided as an information service. It is a summary of current issues in estates and estate planning. It is not legal advice, and you're reminded to always speak with a legal professional regarding your specific circumstance. To listen to other Hull & Hall podcasts or leave any questions or comments, please visit our website at hullestatemediation.com.